Good morning. I'm sitting here with my cup of bone broth, and I'm contemplating the breakthrough process that my friend Ariel and I are going to lead everyone through in just a couple weeks at our breakthrough retreat. And I thought that I'd share a little bit with you about it. The breakthrough process is based on our years of watching how real positive transformation happens and noticing that there are certain ingredients that are always present during that process. And we are going to create that perfect environment for you for real revelations to arise and for real healing to happen. The framework for it is based on the Yoga Sutras and actually in Buddhism as well. There are these 4 qualities, these 4 ingredients, sometimes called the 4 abodes. So they also can speak to a kind of environment that we create. These 4 kind of flavors of way of holding the space that as we go through and develop each of these 4 different qualities, we'll come to see that the breakthrough process already wants to happen. It's already kind of waiting to happen. And it's just waiting for this a space and a time that has these particular qualities. So what are they? Maitri is the Sanskrit word for the first quality, and it's usually translated as friendliness. So this quality is an acceptance. It's like this open-armed embrace. And it's coupled in the Yoga Sutras with sukha, which is our ease and pleasure. And so we're going to learn how to drop into the ease. And we'll start with the ease in the physical body. In the Yoga Sutras, he tells us to start with the personal, really. So we start with what's going on in this form right now and addressing the real wholeness that we can touch, and to make friends with it. And so often with our pleasure experiences we have, there can be fear. And we'll talk about this too. Patanjali tells us that when we don't have a kind of friendly environment around pleasure and joy, we'll be feeling a lot of really yummy feelings on this retreat and feeling really good. But what can happen if we don't have this kind of friendliness is we can actually start to get attached to the pleasure. And we'll address how that happens. We all have certain little addictions or codependencies. All of us do, you know? They show up in different ways for everyone. But we'll address that too. What happens when we start to associate lack with our pleasures, and then we start to grasp after them, then we're not in Maitri. And we feel sort of always undernourished by our own pleasure. So we're going to have a really, really yummy Saturday morning, especially, Friday night we'll get in and we'll do orientation, but Saturday morning is all about Maitri and sukha. And then that should set us up nicely. After lunch, we'll do another workshop that's all about the second abode, which is karuna. And karuna means compassion. This is a slightly different flavor of love. The first one is like, hey, yeah, let's hang out. And this one is a more kind of tender, gentle, but very strong connection. And Patanjali tells us that if we experience pain or challenges in an environment that isn't compassionate, it leads to trauma. It leads to devesha, is what he calls it, which is aversion, which is those kind of trigger responses, the no, right? When our boundaries are suddenly like, poof. and when we experience a lot of fear around the challenges of life. And just like life has sukha, it has pleasant sensations. Everyone has felt pleasure. Life has dukkha. It's the other aspect of embodiment. We all got it. You know, when you were born, like you're born to a mother who's, you know, experiencing a little bit of physical pain, most likely. That's been happening for the last 200,000 years. Women experience physical pain in that joyous miracle moment. It's dukkha is part of life. And so Patanjali tells us, watch out, because what happens is that if we don't have an environment of karuna, of compassion, if we don't know how to hold a space of compassion or enter into one, then we're going to end up having unmetabolized trauma and suffering. And so not only will we learn to address the suffering that we already have in our lives, we're also going to learn when a new challenge arises, how do we meet it in such a way that the trauma doesn't actually trigger? We can feel the dukkha. We'll feel the difficulty of a situation. We're supposed to. That's awareness. We need that. We'll feel it, but it won't turn into that suffering. That is pain coupled with fear. Where after our Karuna workshop, we had a deep embodied practice and trauma release practice. And after that, then we take it into the evening, and Saturday night is ruled by mudita. Mudita is joy and gratitude. And Patanjali tells us that this is how we respond to virtue. This is how we respond to, this is how we say, hell yes to what's going well, what we're doing really well. At this point in the retreat, we'll have been there for almost 24 hours and already have addressed some really difficult aspects of reality and embraced fully the ease, the harmony, the wholeness that we can all experience. And so now we're going to really look at the victories, and we're going to celebrate with each other. We're going to have a feast. The food's going to be amazing on this retreat. We're going to have a feast and then a fire circle. And we're all going to have the opportunity to release some of the heaviness of the work into the fire, and so that we're left with just the joy and the gratitude of all of this brave work that we've been doing. We'll rest well. We'll have another quiet, sweet morning on Sunday. And then when we gather back together, we'll practice upeksha, which is equanimity. Equanimity is clear vision. It's that wisdom. It's that wisdom of insight and integrity that we see in people who can stay super steady when pleasure arises and steady when pleasure falls. They can stay super steady when the challenges of life arise. You know these people. You're like, wow, look at the way you're holding yourself through this challenge. Right? That is somebody with upeksha, equanimity. So when the challenges arise, this person is strong. And when the challenges pass away, this person is also strong and present. And this person with equanimity, we find that we're able to perceive when we need to be in any of the one abodes. And upeksha is kind of like this space to hang out. And then when it's time for Maitri, when it's time to embrace sukha and pleasure with open arms, we know in that moment, and there we are in Maitri. When it's time to be compassionate toward ourselves or toward someone else in our space, there's karuna. And we can be with them. We can be with it. When it's time to celebrate the fact that most of life is actually going on just fine, just beautifully. When it's time to celebrate all that is well and right and all of the hard work that we've done, all the distance we've come, the mudita will be there. We'll be a joyful person. And when it's time to just be even and balanced, will be that. So I hope that you join us on the retreat itself. There's an info session tomorrow at 4 p.m. where we'll go more deeply into all of this, and I hope that you join for some or all of that. And if you'd like to just reach out to me or Ariel and have a one-on-one phone conversation to figure out if this retreat is right for you, we can set that up as well. We just really, really want this to get to the right people. We know it works. We know that you can have a transformation within the weekend, and then more importantly, you can live the rest of your life with these tools, being able to slip in and out of these different energies as you walk through the path of life